Part 13. Who would marry into the family after being reborn? Author, Ben Pao de Ba Ling Ho. Chapter 121. Wu Wei was looking forward to it, and he picked up some details. Some of them were noticed by Xiaochun a long time ago, and some she didn't notice. Even so, Xiaochun didn't miss his good points. When she came to her senses, she asked, "No, second brother, why are you back at this time?" Wu Wei then remembered, "Master said that I was busy these days and had no time to find a partner. He sent me back to find a partner." Hearing this, Xiaochun had a question mark on her forehead. Did Master Chiao really say this? Wu Wei said confidently, "Of course not. He went into the house and put away the 20,000 treasury bonds, then washed up, turned upside down, and pushed the car out again. Starting from Bai Road, on the way to the county center, he passed the main road Xingfu Road. Wu Wei saw that there were people selling candied haws on the roadside again, so he bought a few strings and took them with him, so he didn't leave empty-handed. Arriving at the school gate, Uncle Fan poked his head out of the window. "Are you here to see Teacher Chiao again?" Wu Wei handed him a cigarette. Not denying it was the same as admitting it. Uncle Fan took the cigarette and saw that it was still a good cigarette. He immediately said in a nice way, "You haven't been here for a while. Teacher Ma's boyfriend, Section Chief Hao, comes to see Teacher Ma every day to watch movies." Wu Wei was puzzled. Are there so many new movies? Uncle Fan smiled knowingly and ordered a cigarette leisurely. "Of course not, but movie tickets are always sold out." After saying that, Uncle Fan reminded, "Go quickly, the afternoon class is about to end, and there will be extracurricular activities soon." Wu Wei responded, got on the bike and went straight to the teacher's dormitory building. While smoking a cigarette downstairs of the teacher's dormitory building, the bell rang. The empty campus was instantly filled with students running around. Seeing this, Wu Wei also put out his cigarette and straightened his posture, so as not to bring the gang of social behavior to the school and give students a bad impression. At this time, Ma Jiajia and Chiao Yuyan came together. They walked and laughed softly. They were either talking about something happy or chatting about secret gossip. But when she saw Wu Wei, Chiao Yuyan suddenly became happy. Ma Jiajia teased first, "Oh, Boss Wu, you are really busy. You ignored us Yuyan for a few days." This yin and yang tone sounded like she was defending her best friend. So Wu Wei didn't bother with her. Still said sincerely, "I'm busy with a project worth 700,000 or 800,000 recently, and I really didn't pay attention to Teacher Chiao." The previous second, Ma Jiajia was still complacent about Wu Wei's attitude. The next second, she heard the understatement of 700,000 or 800,000, and she suddenly felt like a lump in her throat. If I had known this, why would I have asked so much? After feeling regretful, Ma Jiajia glanced at her best friend, but Chiao Yuyan's heart and eyes were full of the man in front of her. She didn't notice her own humiliation and embarrassment at all. She got angry and snatched all the candied haws from Wu Wei's hand and walked away. Without Ma Jiajia, the light bulb. Chiao Yuyan stepped forward and took Wu Wei's arm, saying with concern, "You must be exhausted these days, right?" Wu Wei smiled and shook his head. Then Chiao Yuyan continued, "It just so happens that I bought 2 movie tickets for tonight, so you can have a good rest and relax." "Okay," Wu Wei agreed, and then confirmed, "It won't delay your work, right?" Chiao Yuyan shook her head lightly, "No. I have helped Jiajia to take classes for several nights, and it's time for her to help me." As he spoke, Wu Wei accompanied Chiao Yuyan upstairs. But he didn't go into the house, he just stood in the corridor outside. Ma Jiajia even drew the curtains in the room, fearing that Wu Wei would peek at her best friend changing clothes. She never thought that her best friend's second line of defense had been breached a few days ago. A moment later, Chiao Yuyan opened the door, and Wu Wei's eyes lit up immediately. She still wore a turtleneck sweater as a base, showing off her graceful and undulating figure. She wore a long windbreaker on the outside, which made her figure more slender. She wore a pair of high heels on her feet, and her temperament was immediately improved. Not only that, she also applied a light lipstick on her lips, making her pearly teeth look even whiter. Seeing Wu Wei's reaction, Qiao Yuyan was particularly satisfied. She raised her hand, took his arm and said, let's go eat first." Dinner was still at the noodle shop at the door. So much so that Wu Wei felt a little hasty. Qiao Yuyan was very interested in this and was very interested in challenging the 365 ways to eat noodles without lipstick. The lip shape and posture were varied. Wu Wei didn't understand, but was greatly shocked. After a bowl of noodles, it was still early for the movie to start. Wu Wei rode a 28-bar bicycle with Qiao Yuyan and walked slowly to the Red Star Cinema. The speed was almost not much faster than walking. Even so, the two of them still enjoyed it. When they arrived at the door of the Red Star Cinema, Wu Wei parked the car and bought 2 bottles of soda and a portion of popcorn. Then they lined up slowly inside. Finally, they waited for the ticket check to enter. The two of them looked for their seats and found that they were in a corner. Not only that, when the movie started, it was still T Province in 1984 and 1985. Wu Wei looked at Qiao Yuyan with a puzzled look. But in the dim light, Qiao Yuyan's eyes were like a pool of spring water. One can't help but be addicted to it at first sight. This fascination lasted for 100 minutes, until the movie ended and the lights above her head were turned on. Qiao Yuyan hurriedly tidied up her sweater, her pretty face still flushed, lingering. Fortunately, they were not the only ones who were in a panic. Most young men and women who went out in pairs were like this. After all, they had bought tickets, so who would watch a movie? After Qiao Yuyan tidied herself, she found that Wu Wei was still sitting on the chair, with no intention of getting up. It was not until she saw Wu Wei's legs changing from one to another that her pretty face suddenly blushed. Showing off her fist, she lightly punched Wu Wei. "You are so bad." Since the last time she lost, Qiao Yuyan found that her defense line was retreating step by step. If it weren't for the advantage of the terrain, I'm afraid that this honey would have been eaten long ago. The next day, Thursday. Chendong Cement Factory, Deputy Director's Office. Pale Jian spread the rendering of the residential building handed over by Wu Wei on the table and said, "Station Master Wang, can your construction station build such a residential building?" As the station master of the construction station, Wang Chen glanced at the drawing calmly. He said with a confident face, "Director Pei, did you get this drawing from the provincial capital?" Then, without waiting for Pale Jian to respond, he blurted out, "You also know that there are many large design institutes in the provincial capital, and the construction level is definitely much higher than our small county." Before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Pale Jian. "It was someone from our county." Wang Chen straightened up. "How is this possible?" Pale Jian lit a cigarette slowly and said, "Wu Wei wrote it." When Wang Chen heard it, he immediately sat back and said, "Oh, then it's okay. Who would marry into the family after being reborn?" Author, Ben Pao de Ba Ling Ho. Chapter 122. With Wang Chen showing off like this, Pale Jian became even more interested. "Station Master Wang, as far as I know, the people at your construction station outside are not talking about Wu Wei like this. Is Wu Wei's design level really that high? Is it comparable to the level of a major design institute in a provincial capital?" Wang Chen lowered his eyebrows and flicked the ashes of his cigarette and said, "Speaking of dissatisfaction is just a job. If I feel convinced in my heart, that's because I'm really capable. Let me tell you this. Even if we take the construction drawings of this residential building and give them to our construction station exactly as they are, we will be able to build them according to the drawings, and it will be difficult to complete. Not to mention all the factors from design to construction, including cost, have to be considered. Palejian still refused to give up and said, then tell me the truth. If we build according to this drawing, what is our budget for building the station? Wang Qin looked at the drawings again and said, I'm afraid I won't be able to stop it even if it costs 1 million. Palejian glanced at Wang Qin doubtfully and said, Old Wang, if we hadn't been friends for many years, I would have suspected that you were sent by Wu Wei. Wang Qin also showed his cards and said, Lao Pei, I'll tell you the truth. If you want to do a good job in this welfare house without leaving any criticism, you have to find him. Those old technicians at the construction station are really not up to the task. Wu Wei has one finger. Palejian sighed, but he is too young. What's wrong with being young? Wang Qin exclaimed, it's just the small Western-style building in the home of the two section chiefs at the meat processing factory. Later I took the old technicians at the station to see it. Wu Wei has obviously finished building the building. They are following the example, but they can't figure out how to set up the formwork and where to pour it. Do you think I can take on a slightly more difficult project with such a technical level? Palejian breathed a long sigh of relief, it's hard for you, old man. Then the conversation changed, since you said so, that guy quoted 850,000 yuan, so I won't go any further. What? Wang Qin straightened up again, he only quoted 850,000. Palejian nodded, isn't it? Otherwise, how could I suspect that you were sent by him? It's noon in a blink of an eye. Wu Wei was not surprised at all when he received a call from Chen Yinglong at the meat factory. But when he heard Section Chief Chen say that the contract would be signed for 850,000 yuan, he looked surprised. By accident, I earned another 50,000 yuan. Unexpectedly, he encouraged Fourth Master Chiao and his master to go to the cement factory to sign the contract. With the second brother in charge, the contract signing was extremely smooth. Even after signing the contract, Wu Wei, as Party B, wanted to express his gratitude and hosted a banquet at the guest house. They were all overtaken by Deputy Director Pei. This made Wu Wei somewhat flattered. In his previous life, he was Party B for so many years and worked on so many construction projects. Have you ever been treated like this? That night, the county guest house. The fourth and fifth masters came here much more calmly than the first time. In addition, Boss Cheng, an old acquaintance, is also here. Therefore, the whole wine bureau was particularly relaxed and happy. While Wu Wei was toasting repeatedly, he did not stop others from changing glasses with Fourth Master Chiao. But when Chen Yinglong went out to sign the bill at the end, Wu Wei was polite and followed him out. As a result, when I went out, I met Mr. Zhong coming out of the private room next door. Moreover, Mr. Zhong recognized him at first glance. Hey, Xiao Wu. Wu Wei then reacted and quickly reached out and said, Mr. Zhong, do you still remember me? Mr. Zhong said confidently, how long has it been? I'm not an old fool, how could I forget? Besides, I play with your Huanghuali 8 Immortals table and 2 chairs every day. Even if I want to forget you, the original owner, it's impossible. Wu Wei was quite pleased and said, as long as you like it, Mr. Zhong. Mr. Zhong also took the opportunity to make a request, knowing that I am good at this, if you encounter good goods in the future, you must keep them for me. Definitely. Chen Yinglong, who was signing the order in the distance, was extremely shocked when he saw this scene. Unexpectedly, Master Wu at such a young age would have such an unknown background. Although Mr. Zhong has retired, he has been operating in Bailun for so many years. Who wouldn't think twice about what he said? Seeing Wu Wei coming towards him, Chen Yinglong quickly finished signing the order and took the initiative to greet him. Boss Wu, do you know Mr. Zhong? Wu Wei said lightly, hi, we have dealt with him once before. To be honest, Section Chief Chen, this is the second time I have met Mr. Zhong. Chen Yinglong, however, did not dare to underestimate him at all. We are so familiar with each other for the second time, how can this relationship be normal? Boss Wu really has a wide circle of friends, I admire him very much. While talking, the two returned to the private room. Chen Yinglong pulled factory director Pei back and paid Wu Wei a few more cups. On the way back, Pale Jian, despite the rising drunkenness, swayed the car from side to side and said, "What's the matter? You had to drag me to drink those cups just now? If I didn't drink those cups, why couldn't I walk in a straight line?" Chen Yinglong looked back to make sure there was no one around. Then he said to Pale Jian, "Director Pei, guess what I saw when I signed the order?" Pale Jian said angrily, "Just tell me what you see, why don't you try to hide it from me?" Chen Yinglong took a deep breath and said, "I saw that Boss Wu and Mr. Zhong knew each other, and they were chatting and laughing. Mr. Zhong seems to have something else to do, and he has left it to Boss Wu to handle." Pale Jian didn't react for a moment. "Mr. Zhong, which Mr. Zhong?" Chen Yinglong did not answer but asked, "In all these years in our county, besides that old Zhong, who else is there?" "Old Zhong." Pale Jian was so shocked that he accidentally knocked the car over, and he fell to the ground. Even so, he was still shocked beyond words, and murmured, "Old Zhong? Are you sure you didn't see it wrong?" Chen Yinglong quickly set up the car, helped the man up and said, "Director Pei, it's old Zhong, not someone else. How could I see it wrong?" Then he looked around and patted the mud on Pale Jian's body and said, "Did you fall anywhere, Director Pei?" Pale Jian didn't care about the mud, but just congratulated, "Thanks to this project, we have a good relationship with Boss Wu. Xiao Chen, listen, if Wu Wei has any request in the future, notify me as soon as possible." Chen Yinglong agreed very straightforwardly, "Don't worry, Director Pei, I'll take care of it." At the same time, on the way back, Mr. Chiao also fell accidentally. No one stopped him from drinking tonight, so he got drunk. Wu Wei saw that it was too dangerous to ride back in the dark. He immediately found a small hotel to accommodate the fourth master. Chiao Wei was not happy, but seeing that the fourth brother was drunk, he could only let it go. Fortunately, the two old men shared a room, and the small hotel did not need a letter of introduction or anything. Wu Wei paid the bill at the front desk, and asked for 2 more quilts, and settled down. When he returned to Bei Road, he did not forget to call Secretary Chiao's home to let him know. In order to avoid worrying his family. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Who would marry into the family after being reborn? Author, Ben Pao de Ba Ling Ho. Chapter 123. Hang up the phone at Secretary Chiao's home. Wu Wei found that old Wei at the newsstand was freezing. Wrapped in a blue military coat, he couldn't help shivering. Actually, it's no wonder. Old Wei's stall is a small open space after all. Although there is a wall behind it, the front is open and the wind blows everywhere. Wu Wei held the phone and said, "Old Wei, you are like this, should I call or not?" Old Wei sniffed and said, "Boss Wu, it's up to you. I'm used to it." Even so, Wu Wei threw a cigarette over first. Then he continued to dial the number of the dormitory of the University of Finance and Economics. As a result, the call was connected, but it was directly busy. It's normal. They are all young female college students in their prime, and there is only one public phone on the entire floor. It's common that they can't get through at night. But Wu Wei can't help feeling a little regretful. Chiao, that silly girl, really miss her a little. After hesitating, Wu Wei dialed again vaguely. This time, the call was connected. Wu Wei heard the voice from the other end of the phone, which was like the sound of nature. "Hello, hello. Who are you looking for? I'm looking for Yang Chiao, thank you. Wait. The phone was put down immediately. It seemed that because of the swing, Wu Wei could hear a dull bang. Then Yang Kiao's shout echoed in the corridor. Soon, the sound of hurried footsteps came from far away. Until the phone was picked up again, a soft voice came, "Hello." Although only one word was said, Wu Wei knew very sure that it was Chiao. "It's me." Kiao's voice returned to normal, "I know. Besides you, only Grandma Zhao knows this number. Grandma Zhao always calls at lunch, so it's so late, there's no one else except you." Wu Wei chattered, "It's hard to call your number. I dialed it several times before I got through." After that, Wu Wei heard a hum. Then there was a rustling sound from the other end of the phone. Another female voice suddenly sounded, "Humph, I really want to see what kind of excellent man makes the kind and beautiful Chiao so devoted." As soon as the voice fell, the phone was covered. Wu Wei couldn't hear clearly until a moment later. Yang Kiao's voice came in annoyance, "It was my roommate Li Manman just now. She likes to joke. Don't mind it." As for what kind of joke she was making, Yang Chiao didn't say. After all, Chiao couldn't say jokes like she was big like a millstone or had big breasts. Wu Wei didn't care. Having a roommate who jokes with Chiao at least means that Chiao has a friend. "Next time I go to Shanghai for business, I will invite you to dinner with this roommate." "Yes," Yang Chiao habitually responded, and then she was surprised. "Ah. It's settled," Wu Wei said concisely, "Okay, hang up, and go to bed early." After hanging up the phone, Wu Wei handed over a big unity and took a newspaper. Back to the small courtyard of Bai Road. Xiaochun looked at her second brother's rosy face and asked expectantly, "Did you get the welfare housing of the cement factory?" Wu Wei nodded. "Who am I, your second brother? I must get it." Xiaochun was immediately delighted, and even Ma Ling and Li Xiaoqin followed suit and praised him. "Brother Wu Wei is really amazing. Brother Wu Wei is the most promising person in our village." Wu Wei also took the opportunity to encourage, "You should also work hard. As long as these furnitures become famous and have a good reputation, you will have a steady stream of work in the future, which is no different from working for a salary." The girls were particularly motivated by being praised by a big boss like Wu Wei. "What you think about during the day, you will dream at night." Maybe it was because he talked to Chiao for a while at night. Wu Wei saw Chiao in his dream at night. Reunion in the dream is naturally inevitable. But as he pushed, the face turned into Chiao Yuyan, and finally even Qin Ziru jumped out. Wu Wei was awakened directly. So that he didn't sleep much in the second half of the night. He woke up at dawn. He went out to buy breakfast and sent a portion to the old lady Zhao next door. Then he rushed to the small hotel without stopping. Even so, he was still a step late. The fourth master and the master had already checked out and left. Wu Wei followed closely to the meat processing factory site. Sure enough, he saw the fourth master squatting at the door of the shed with a sullen look, looking ashamed to see people. Wu Wei did not provoke him, but went straight into the shed and said, "Master, why don't you sleep a little longer?" Chiao Wei waved his hand, "I am old, and I don't sleep much. I can't sleep even more after changing places." Then he touched his pocket and said, "By the way, I'll give you the money for last night's hotel." Wu Wei quickly pressed the master's hand and said, "Don't do it, master, aren't you slapping me in the face?" After lunch. The signing of the welfare housing project has been known to everyone. When the big and small workers saw Wu Wei, they were all convinced from the bottom of their hearts. After all, it might be luck to take over one project. If you can take over the second one, it is definitely strength. In addition to being convinced, everyone was thinking about whether they could continue to work with Boss Wu next year. Should I take this opportunity to send some gifts or do some favors? Xiao Wei has been leading the workers for so many years that he knows what shit these people are going to do when they stick their butts out. He directly gave them a precise pua: everyone, cheer up and work hard. If anyone dares to slack off, don't come next year. After hearing this, who would dare to slack off? They immediately cheered up, put in all their efforts, and worked hard. In this way, the progress was accelerated. At this rate, the project can be completed ahead of schedule and delivered before the end of the month. Wu Wei was thinking about it when he saw the security guard Xiao Gong running over. "Boss Wu, someone is looking for you at the door." Since Xiao Gong didn't let anyone in directly, but came in person, that ruled out the possibility of Xiao Yuyan. But who else could be the outsider except Xiao Yuyan? With this doubt, Wu Wei followed Xiao Gong straight to the factory gate. As he walked, he listened to the other party's explanation. "Boss Wu, this woman has never been here before, so you have to make a trip." Wu Wei repaired a flower as usual and went over and said, "Thank you for your hard work." Xiao Gong said happily, "It's my duty, it's my duty." While talking, the factory gate was already in sight. Wu Wei took a quick look. Wow, this figure is so familiar to him. After all, they slept in the same bed for more than 30 years in the previous life. On second thought, it has only been 10 days since the other party found Xiaochun last time. Is she finally unable to sit still now? Wu Wei smiled slightly and couldn't help feeling a little proud. In the face of absolute knowledge of oneself and the enemy, any calculation will fail. But besides being proud, Wu Wei was also a little surprised. After all, he just dreamed of her last night, and today he saw her in person. It will make people have some inexplicable associations. Who would marry into the family after being reborn? Author, Ben Pao de Ba Ling Ho. Chapter 124. Seeing Wu Wei approaching, Qin Xiru suddenly felt a sense of oppression coming towards her face. Everyone said that he became a boss, made a lot of money, and was the most promising person in the country. Now it seems that this statement is true. After all, he has even developed the aura of a boss, which is not something ordinary people can pretend to be able to do. I remember back then, when the brick kill business was at its peak, Fatty Joe wanted to package himself in this way, so he specially bought a suit, put on a tie, put on hair gel, and put on leather shoes. But it still looks awkward and nondescript. Now Wu Wei is not wearing anything, just walking, his aura is heart-wrenching. It's ridiculous that I even thought about recruiting someone to marry me in the first place. In the blink of an eye, I no longer have the qualifications to recommend myself as a pillow seat. When Wu Wei got closer, he realized that Qin Xiru had lost a lot of weight after not seeing him for a while. But because of its solid foundation, it still appears to be full of charm. Coupled with the worry between his eyebrows, he looked like a pity person. Fortunately, Wu Wei knew her so well that he just pretended not to see her. He even asked knowingly, "Madam Boss, why did you come here?" Qin Xiru couldn't help feeling bitter. But there is no way. Now that broken brick kill is not worth even 800 yuan in the eyes of others. The few bosses who have come recently are only willing to pay up to 500 yuan at most. Moreover, he hinted crazily, both inside and outside the words, that he wanted to take advantage of him. In comparison, Wu Wei's bid of 800 yuan was more conscientious. So Qin Xiru took a deep breath and said with her chest rising and falling, "Boss Wu, I've thought about it. I'll sell it for 800 yuan. Then he said in a pleading tone, "I just hope that Boss Wu will stop lowering the price for the sake of our orphans and widowed mothers." Wu Wei snorted softly. Now we know that the life of orphans and widowed mothers is not easy. In your last life, you were not an orphan or a widower. You lived a prosperous life, but you didn't cherish it at all. Of course, abdominal slander is abdominal slander. Wu Wei did not let these emotions influence his decision. Then come to the old party secretary's house tomorrow night. We'll ask the village to be a witness and go through all the procedures. Qin Ziru hummed, feeling relieved. After Wu Wei finished speaking, he turned to leave. Wait a minute, Boss Wu. Wu Wei turned around and said in a business-like tone, is there anything else? Qin Ziru took out a piece of paper from her pocket and said, Fat Joe always wanted to buy another brick-making machine to expand production. This is the contact information of the brick-making machine manufacturer he found. I heard that it was agreed verbally. Just waiting to pick up the goods. I guess this thing may be of some use to you. Wu Wei took it and looked at it. On the paper was the address and contact information of the brick-making machine manufacturer in the provincial capital. The name Wu Wei was correct, but he couldn't remember the contact address and phone number clearly. But it doesn't matter, just ask someone and you will know the truth. However, Wu Wei was still a little surprised that Qin Ziru could do this. According to her nature, she would never show kindness without reason. So, Wu Wei collected the note and said casually, tell me, what else do you want? Qin Ziru suddenly panicked, her eyes turning around. Being guessed like this made her feel like she was naked in front of Wu Wei. In fact, Wu Wei was indeed no stranger to her without clothes. It's just that she doesn't know it. Even so, Qin Ziru still gritted her teeth and summoned up the courage to say, I want to ask Boss Wu for a job and run orders for the brick kill factory, okay. Although Fatty Joe still has a lot of savings left behind, plus the 800 yuan from the sale of the brick kill, the total is considerable. But she has 2 children to raise, so she can't just sit back and rest. As for finding another man to marry, the man she fell in love with before is now the big boss, so how can she fall in love with anyone else? Wu Wei couldn't help but look surprised. It was only a matter of time before Qin Ziru gave in, which he had expected. On the contrary, the other party surrendered so thoroughly that she changed from being the boss's wife to working for herself. However, the brick kill factory has not yet been obtained, so Wu Wei cannot refuse directly. He agreed for the time being and said, okay, as per the old rules, there is no basic salary, only 2.5 cents. 2 cents and a half is a commission of 2 cents and a half for each red brick. Such a large 3-room tile-roofed house costs 20,000 to 40,000 red bricks, and the commission is between 100 and 200 yuan. But the premise is that she can get such a list. Qin Ziru couldn't care about this anymore. Now that I have decided not to remarry, it is inevitable to go out in public to earn a living. Now that I have Wu Wei's permission for the time being, I have finally taken the first step. So towards Wu Wei, Qin Ziru nodded her head and thanked her, thank you, Boss Wu, thank you. Wu Wei said nothing and turned back to the factory. But instead of going back to the work shed, he went straight to Section Chief Song's office. Section Chief Song was also surprised when he saw him coming. He quickly got the person up, poured water, dispersed the smoke, and then asked, Boss Wu, what went wrong with the custom furniture? Wu Wei blew out a puff of smoke and quickly explained, Section Chief Song misunderstood. The furniture customized by Sister Zhang is still being worked on. I came here today mainly because I want to ask Section Chief Song for a favor and help me get some news. Song K's chubby body leaned back on the sofa and relaxed, let's talk about it. Wu Wei continued, I am going to build a brick kill factory, and I need 2 medium-sized brick-making machines. I just got the contact information of a brick-making machine manufacturer. I wonder if Section Chief Song can help me with it. Section Chief Song raised his thick eyebrows, Boss Wu, you can. I just heard yesterday that you took over the cement factory project, and today you are going to build a brick kill factory. Such courage, but also cautious. Boss Wu, you will definitely be a man of few talents in the future. Wu Wei handed over the note and said, Section Chief Song is joking, it's just a small fight, and I just want to help the villagers earn some hard-earned money. Section Chief Song took the note, got up and went to the desk to find the phone book. Flipping through it, he found a phone number and called it directly. Red Star Machinery Factory in the provincial capital. What is the address and contact number? Son Chief Song hung up the phone and came over. Wu Wei stood up quickly, and heard Section Chief Song handing over a note saying, "The address and phone number are correct, Boss Wu can rest assured." Wu Wei was surprised, but took the note and thanked him hurriedly. "Thank you, Section Chief Song." Section Chief Song waved his hand and said, "It's just a small favor." Wu Wei took the opportunity to say goodbye. "Section Chief Song, you go ahead, I won't bother you anymore." Wu Wei breathed a sigh of relief after leaving Section Chief Song's office. Qin Ziru didn't do anything about this, so let her run the orders. As for whether she can support her family, it all depends on her own ability. Who would marry into the family after being reborn? Author, Ben Pao de Ba Ling Ho. Chapter 125. The next day was Saturday, just before work. Qiao Yuyan came floating in the air with a spring breeze on her face. Qiao Wei took a quick look and saw that this specially decorated appearance was obviously for Wu Wei. But he said nothing. So much so that Qiao Yuyan couldn't even utter the excuse she had already thought of. Until Wu Wei said, "I have to go back to the village tonight. We have reached an agreement with the Zishan brick kiln factory and we have agreed to complete the procedures tonight." Oh, Qiao Yuyan's disappointment flashed away, and she turned around and said casually, "Then I will accompany you back. I will definitely support you in such a big matter." When Master Qiao heard this, he really couldn't have this girl. In front of her, no outsider could speak her father's words. The group returned to Daowen village. Chen Yuejuan prepared dinner in advance, which included 4 dishes and 1 soup. It was quite sumptuous, and the standard was the same as entertaining her own uncle. In his previous life, Wu Wei stayed at his master's house for many years. Naturally, he understands the temperament of his wife. The 4 dishes and 1 soup served to Yuning's husband for lunch will never be left to serve Yu Yan's man in the evening. The main thing is to have unified standards, and a bowl of water will be balanced. No one can say anything wrong. Qiao Yuyan went into the house to get some wine, but Wu Wei took it and filled it up for Master Qiao Wei without pouring it himself. Seeing this, Qiao Yuyan volunteered, "I'll pour it for you." Wu Wei waved his hand and said, "No more drinking. We will have business later." Upon hearing this, Qiao Yuyan immediately said to 5th Master Qiao with a proud look on her face, "Dad, you should learn from Wu Wei. He also drinks, but he is never greedy." When Master Qiao heard this, he became even more confused. "If your father's words don't work, that's all. Now she still has to learn from her man." When Wu Wei saw that Master's face was not good looking, he quickly changed the subject. "Master's wife, don't just wait for us to eat, you can eat it yourself." Chen Yuejuan came to her senses and said repeatedly, "You eat, if you like it, eat more." Then he looked at Wu Wei and said, "You have been out there and have seen a lot. Do you think something will happen if Quiliang goes out alone this time? The mother is worried when her son travels thousands of miles." When Chen Yuejuan asked this question, 5th Master Qiao snorted coldly, but did not stop his wife from asking about it. Wu Wei knew that no matter how harshly his master scolded him, he was still concerned in his heart. So he put down his chopsticks and said, "Third brother, haven't you contacted your family yet?" Chen Yuejuan shook her head, her brows furrowed into a Sichuan shape. Wu Wei waved his hand and pretended to be relaxed. Master, if there is no news, it is good news. Besides, third brother is a great old man. He travels all over the world to see the world. What can happen? Don't worry, he will come back naturally after all his money is spent." "That's right," Qiao Yuyan immediately agreed. "Brother Wu Wei brought so much money with him when he went out, isn't there nothing wrong?" Although Qiao Yuyan's words did not reach the point of persuasion, they inexplicably made master and mistress feel relieved. After all, this kid Kuliang didn't really have much money with him before going out. After dinner. Although Qiao Yuyan's words did not lead to anything, she still had the vision to take the initiative to help the mistress share the housework and make her feel relaxed. Wu Wei and Mr. Qiao sat under the eaves, smoking after-dinner cigarettes. When Qiao Yuyan finished her work and her delicate hands were cold from the cold, Wu Wei stepped forward to greet her, took her outside the yard and said, "You must be frozen, I'll cover it for you." Qiao Yuyan's pretty face turned red, but she still stretched out her hand. "After all, my body has been touched, so what does it matter if I touch my hands?" When those warm hands wrapped around her delicate hands, Qiao Yuyan felt the temperature in her palms gradually warming up. "I heard Wu Wei Zhanzhan say, when our family builds a small building next year, I will provide hot water and heating to the whole house. By then, I won't be able to take a bath or wash dishes in the winter." Qiao Yuyan was moved and looked forward to it. Qiao Moli suddenly appeared next to Len Buting and said in a strange way, "Hey, the dishwasher even washed Zhanzhan." Before Wu Wei could say anything, Qiao Yuyan said unhappily, "Sister, you are a bit disappointed." Qiao Moli was confident and refused to repent. Until Wu Wei changed the topic and suddenly asked, "Do you have any news about Kuliang? How is he doing now?" Qiao Moli was caught off guard and it was too late to deny it. So much so that Qiao Yuyan saw the clues and said, "Sister, the third brother really contacted you." Immediately before Qiao Moli could deny it, Qiao Yuyan turned around and shouted into the yard, "Dad, Mom, Sister, she knows the news about the third brother." As soon as he finished speaking, Qiao Wei and Chen Yuejuan all rushed out. Chen Yuejuan even grabbed Qiao Moli and said, "Moli, tell me quickly, how is Kuliang doing outside? Is he cold, is he hungry?" This commotion alerted the fourth master and his wife, as well as Lu Hong. Qiao Moli had no choice but to retreat, so she first said to Wu Wei and Qiao Yuyan, "I didn't want to say it originally, but you forced me to say it." Lu Hong was so anxious that she couldn't help but patted her daughter and said, "Speak quickly." Qiao Moli then held her head high and said meaningfully, "He is doing well in Shanghai. He has food and drink and can make money. In just a few days, he has already earned 500 yuan. It turns out that to make money in a big city, you only need to have the skills. For some people, it's really nothing special." After hearing this, everyone could tell that these words were directed at Wu Wei. Fortunately, she aimed this at herself. On the contrary, no one questioned her words, and both master and mistress felt relieved. Only Qiao Yuyan was indignant and spoke up for her man. But Wu Wei held her waist and did not get angry. At this moment, Secretary Qiao came back with his hands behind his back, accompanied by Accountant Li from the village and Qin Ziru from the brick kiln factory. Wu Wei immediately withdrew to avoid getting entangled with Qiao Moli. The transfer procedures of the brick kiln factory were quickly finalized. Wu Wei and Qin Ziru each signed and sealed the draft contract. Then Wu Wei handed over 800 yuan. After counting the money, Qin Ziru said to Wu Wei for the first time, "Boss Wu, you know the amount of money in the brick kiln factory. If you have time, come to the kiln factory and I will count it for you one by one." Wu Wei nodded. "Is Pan the shorty still here? Ask him to help watch it first, so that he won't be lost during this period, otherwise it will be difficult to explain. I will pay Pan the shorty's wages later." Qin Ziru was also very straightforward, "Okay, I'll talk to him." After doing all this, when Qin Ziru left, Wu Wei stuffed 2 bags of huazi each to the old branch secretary and accountant Li. Branch secretary Qiao said politely, "Xiao Wu, you and Yuyan are related, we are all family." Accountant Li even echoed, "That's right, my Ziokan is still working with Ziochun." Wu Wei said as a matter of course, That can't be mentioned without mentioning the black and white, Yuyin and Xiaochun will blame me later. Branch Secretary Jiao laughed and said, you kid. Okay, if there is anything you need help with in the kill later, just come to me. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Who would marry into the family after being reborn? Author, Ben Pao de Ba Ling Ho. Chapter 126. When Wu Wei beat Secretary Jiao to leave, Secretary Jiao walked right to the door. When he turned around, his daughter Jiao Moli said with a disapproving look on her face, Dad, why do you always look up to him? When it comes to making money, brother Quiliang is making a lot of money now in Shanghai. Quiliang, Secretary Jiao shook his head and said, besides other things, when have you ever seen Wu Wei wander around after making money? Daughter, Daddy has no objection to you and Quiliang accepting new things and new ideas. But you must not think that things are as simple as you think just because you have accepted new things and new ideas. Jiao Moli curled her lips. I heard my father, Secretary Jiao, continue, what was Wu Wei like half a year ago? You probably have no impression of him at all, right? It's impossible for Quiliang to take him seriously, right? Now, regardless of whether you two are convinced or not, at least subconsciously, you already want to surpass him. Isn't this enough to explain the problem? Jiao Moli's figure was greatly shaken. Yes. If Wu Wei was not outstanding, why would he and brother Quiliang always try to outdo him? After all, Wu Wei would never appear in their world before. Back at Master's house, Master Jiao was waiting for him in the main room. When Jiao Yuyan saw him coming, she quickly made a cup of tea and brought it over. As a result, Wu Wei saw that the master didn't even have a glass of water in front of him. Quickly push the steaming cup of jasmine to master. As a result, Mr. Jiao waved his hand stubbornly and said, you can drink, I'm not thirsty. Then the topic changed. Now that you have taken over the Zishan brick kill factory, do you plan to use the red bricks fired from your own kill in the welfare housing project next year? Wu Wei held the teacup, blew the cool air and said, I can't hide anything from master. Mr. Jiao Wu thought, that's good. The meat factory will be completed ahead of schedule soon, and all the big and small workers will be free. Before the ground was completely frozen 2 years ago, maybe we can still be busy for a while and clean up the entire brick kill. That's great, Wu Wei was shocked. I'll go back tonight and draw the drawings of the new brick kill. Then I can trouble Master to lead a team to build it. Upon hearing this, Master Jiao immediately grasped the key point, are you planning to build a new kill? Wu Wei nodded, this old kill is too backward. Not only the pass rate is too low, but the production capacity is also limited. I am going to make thorough improvements to improve the pass rate. Fifth Master Jiao confirmed with a look of surprise, I never taught you this thing. Who did you learn it from? This is indeed somewhat unjustifiable. Wu Wei could only laugh and say, I have been working with Fatty Joe in the kill for the past 2 years, and I just figured it out on my own. This is the only possible explanation. Fifth Master Jiao could only choose to believe it, then you have to think carefully and, if necessary, ask your colleagues for advice. Wu Wei nodded, Master is right to remind you. I'm just waiting to go to Shanghai at the end of the month. I'll ask experts from universities there. Having said this, Fifth Master Jiao looked at the sky outside and said, okay, I won't keep you here anymore. Go back early. Wu Wei stood up and said to Chen Yuejuan, who was holding a bamboo basket, Master's wife, I'm leaving. Now that third brother has the letter, don't worry and take care of yourself. Chen Yuejuan responded repeatedly, I know, it's dark, please go slower on the road. While he was talking, Wu Wei left the main room, pushed up the 28 big bar and reached the door. Master, mistress, and Xiao Yuyan all followed him to the door. Don't give it away, master, mistress, and Yuyan. Xiao Yuyan insisted, I'll take you to the intersection. Dad, Mom, you go back first. So just like that, Wu Wei pushed the car to the intersection. Seeing that no one was around, Xiao Yuyan quickly kissed Wu Wei, mouth to mouth. Then he said with satisfaction, get in the car and go, see you tomorrow. After leaving the Jiao family compound, Wu Wei returned to the fence yard first, preparing to take half a sack of sweet potatoes from the cellar. Xiaochun and several girls entered the city. There is nothing to eat as a gift every day, but this sweet potato turns out to be a good thing. Especially the 3-burner briquette stove operates 24 hours a day. If you want to eat sweet potatoes, wash a few and put them on top. In no time, it will be roasted on the outside, tender on the inside, and fragrant. As a result, just after scratching for a while, a flashlight suddenly hit his face. Wu Wei raised his hand to cover it, and then he saw the person slowly walking in and said, Xiao Wu, it's you. I thought your home was robbed. Uncle Dai, there is nothing valuable in this fence yard. Lao Dai put away his flashlight and walked closer. He saw Wu Wei holding the cigarette case, taking it out of his pants pocket, and throwing it over, asking him to take out the cigarettes himself. Lao Dai held it in his pocket and smoked one in the dark. Finally, at some point, I realized that the smell was wrong. Oh, it smells so smoky. Wu Wei didn't care much. Uncle Dai, if you like it, I'll give you the box. Upon hearing this, Lao Dai stuffed the cigarette case back and said, it's such a good cigarette that I can't accept it anymore. Just smoke one to taste it. Then he picked up Hua Zi and said, you are so blind, why are you going to the city? When Wu Wei saw that he was almost done, he clapped his hands and said, isn't that right? Zishun is at home tonight on vacation, so I have to rush back. And there is no bedding here, so I can't sleep. In the summer, you can still sleep on the bed board. Those who count 9 cold days can't make ends meet. Lao Dai didn't say much. He helped Wu Wei drag half a sack of sweet potatoes and tied it to the back seat of the 28-bar bike, saying, then hurry back. Don't worry, we'll help you keep an eye on this fenced yard. Wu Wei tied the sack, added another cigarette to Lao Dai, and lit one for himself. He then rode away. Back to the small courtyard on Bai Road. As soon as he entered the door, he saw that Zishun seemed to have gained weight again. I was immediately relieved and said, wow, there is a little meat on her face, and she looks more energetic. Xiaochun then said, Yuyan brings her extra meals every day, how can she not get fat? Zishun was so proud that she started to take sides and said, second brother, if you let sister Yuyan down in the future, I will be the first one to stop you. Xiaochun sighed slightly. In fact, the second brother had already let Xiao down. Unexpectedly, Wu Wei said shamelessly, don't worry, the second brother will not let any of them down. After all, children make choices, and adults want everything. What's the point of living again, if you can't enjoy life and are afraid of this and that? Wu Wei washed his face and took the opportunity to make gestures on the 8 immortal table while soaking his feet. In his previous life, he and Qin Ziru later converted the brick kiln factory into a 20-door rotary kiln with an annual output of 3 million bricks. At most, the annual profit was 75,000. But after 1988, the production capacity of the 20-door rotary kiln was obviously unable to meet the demand. Even after a round of price increases, it was still in short supply. So this time, Wu Wei planned to directly build a 54-door rotary kiln with an annual output of 20 million bricks. One step to get it done. Who would marry into the family after being reborn? Author, Ben Pao de Ba Ling Ho. Chapter 127. Early the next morning, December 14th. Wu Wei brought the drawings of the 54-door kill to the meat factory construction site. Keep painting. Master Chiao Wei came over, originally wanting to give some advice. The result is not clear even if you look at it, and you will be shocked when you look at it. What Wu Wei painted was actually not the earthen kill in his conventional understanding. It is the kind of will kills that only large communes or even units above the county level would come forward to build. And it's a 54-door will kill. The annual output is tens of millions of red bricks. Is this guy planning to monopolize all the red bricks in the county? After coming back to his senses, Fifth Master Chiao said cautiously, as soon as you took over, you made the scale so large. Can you keep up with the investment? Wu Wei stopped writing. This matter is indeed because the plan cannot keep up with the changes. At the beginning, he really just wanted to recreate the 20-door kill in his previous life. But when I think about it, the kill will not be used for 2 years, and it will be unable to supply goods. Especially in 1988, the year when prices broke through, many families bought hundreds of square meters of red bricks to keep at home even if they did not need to build houses or buildings for a short period of time. That feeling of not being able to make money is such a shame. In addition, he has now saved 30,000 yuan. The meat joint factory building is soon to be completed, and the final payment is a small amount of 100,000, of course on the premise of getting it. Even if you can't get it for a while, you still have the treasury bills to worry about. Wu Wei felt that he had the ability to achieve success in one step. Master, I want to try. Seeing Wu Wei's eagerness to try, Mr. Chiao felt that he was old for the first time in his life. The older a person gets, the less timid they become. Yang Yang raised his hand and said, "Okay, just give it a try. If you don't have enough money then, just tell me." Hey, Wu Wei agreed and continued to immerse himself in drawing. Not long after, Qiao Yuyan arrived. Originally, she wanted to suddenly appear behind Wu Wei and surprise him. As a result, when she actually stood behind Wu Wei, she looked at the complicated drawings on the entire table. Immediately stunned. Can he draw such complicated drawings? Now she believes more and more what Zishun said. The second brother is also capable of going to college. He is indeed the man he likes. Thoughtful, talented, and so tall and handsome. Feeling in love, Qiao Yuyan couldn't help but hugged Wu Wei from behind. Wu Wei didn't wait for a reaction. Fourth Master Qiao suddenly walked in and saw this scene. He immediately covered his eyes with his hands and coughed suddenly. Qiao Yuyan let go of her embrace with a guilty conscience, and her face turned red to the root of her neck with shame. When Wu Wei saw this, he blamed Fourth Master Qiao and said, "Fourth Master, let us young people give us a hug from the bottom of our hearts. Do you need to make such a fuss?" Fourth Master Qiao was stunned. "It's mine instead, isn't it?" Wu Wei said confidently, "Isn't that right?" "Fourth Master, you are so old, what kind of scenes have you never seen?" Fourth Master Qiao also nodded and said, "Yes, the salt I have eaten is better than what you have eaten." At this point, Fourth Master Qiao reacted, "No, I have never seen this scene before." Wu Wei said logically, "Then you really need to go to the small park at night and take a look." Qiao Yuyan asked curiously, "What happened to the small park?" Wu Wei turned around and said, "It's almost the same as in a movie theater." This was a secret code that only 2 people could understand, and Qiao Yuyan's face immediately turned redder than redder. But even a traditional man like Fourth Master knows that Xiao Gongyuan is the partner for young men and women to fall in love with. "What am I going to do there?" Then he slapped his forehead, "I came here to talk to you, but you guys made trouble. It's like this. The high-end furniture customized by the 2 section chiefs is almost complete in terms of carpentry. I heard you say that the soft packaging has also been molded a lot. I'm thinking about asking for a place in the village with my third brother. The final equipment can be put there. Do you think it's okay?" Wu Wei said without hesitation, Of course that's good, I'll tell Xiao-chun when I get back. Fourth Master Chiao nodded, that's it? Then he turned around and left. When he reached the door, he didn't forget to turn around and say, you continue. Chiao Yuyan was so ashamed that she stomped her feet. Fourth uncle. Wu Wei continued to immerse himself in his work and chatted with Yuyan while he was busy. I heard that you always lead Zishun to improve the food at school. Is your salary enough? This really touches on Chiao Yuyan's pain point. Her monthly salary is 63 yuan, which is more than enough if she only spends it on food and drinks. But last time Wu Wei gave her a Shanghai watch. She was thoughtful and noticed that Wu Wei's wrist was still empty. I just wanted to save money and secretly buy a piece for him. It is not only a token of my love, but also an extra surprise. As a result, her monthly salary of 63 yuan is really not enough. Chiao Yuyan secretly calculated that if she wanted to buy a watch of the same quality as a gift to Wu Wei, she would have to save for more than a year. When he saw Chiao Yuyan hesitate, Wu Wei understood immediately. If it's not enough, I'll give it to you. Why are you so polite to me? As he said that, he took out his pocket to get the money. As a man, he now carries 300 to 500 yuan with him all year round. Basically, you can walk sideways in the county. After all, a meal at the county guest house only costs 200 to 300 yuan. In the end, Chiao Yuyan didn't ask for it. She directly held down his hand and insisted, even if I have to spend your money, it's not now. At this moment, there was a burst of strange cheers outside. When Wu Wei heard this, he knew that it was either Wang Jing or Yu Lily who came to see him. When he went out, he saw that it was indeed Yu Lily. This factory beauty was so excited that she was at a loss for words when she received the treasury bonds for the first time. No wonder the rough men on the construction site cheered so enthusiastically. But before he walked over, he did not forget to explain to Chiao Yuyan beside him, you came to me to exchange the treasury bonds. Yu Lily's actions were indeed fast enough. From the 10th to today, it has only been 4 days. She came to Wu Wei with 10,000 yuan of treasury bonds. Wu Wei counted the treasury bonds and did not forget to say, this treasury bond can only be redeemed after New Year's Day. If someone on your side needs money urgently, you can support them. If you really can't support them, come to me to find a solution. In fact, this was redundant. Yu Lily's third aunt is the head of the financial department. How could she settle this small scene? But when Wu Wei said it, Yu Lily felt completely different. Yu Lily immediately felt that Wu Wei treated her as his own. After sending Yu Lily away, Wu Wei returned to the shed, next to Chiao Yuyan. Chiao Yuyan was still watching Yu Lily's cheerful back as she left. Turning back, she said with spring in her beautiful eyes, why don't you go to my dormitory to rest after dinner? Wu Wei looked back at her with an expression that said, you know what this means. Chiao Yuyan was embarrassed and punched him with her fists, saying, what are you thinking about? Don't even think about it until the day of your wedding. Who would marry into the family after being reborn? Author, Ben Pao de Ba Ling Ho. Chapter 128. For lunch, Wu Wei took Chiao Yuyan to the second canteen for a meal. After the meal, he could not persuade her, so he had to go back to the teacher dormitory building of Bailun Middle School with her. In fact, Wu Wei did not want to come. After all, no one knew when Ma Jiajia would suddenly come back. In addition to this intimate behavior that was just scratching the itch, Chiao Yuyan, who had never done anything before, would taste the taste. But for him, this half-hearted behavior was really not enjoyable. Fortunately, this time, Chiao Yuyan also noticed it after the blush faded. Out of curiosity, she helped solve it with her hands. This was an unexpected gain for Wu Wei. Although it was still not very comfortable, it at least quenched his thirst. Chiao Yuyan came back after washing her hands, but she was still scared. It was hard for her to imagine how to face the wedding night. So scared. In a blink of an eye, a week passed, and it was December 20th. The meat processing plant building was completed ahead of schedule, and it was tidied up inside and out. So when Won Jun led the team to inspect, everyone had nothing to say and could not find fault. After all, Boss Wu led the team, not only did the work beautifully, but also completed the project ahead of schedule. It won time for the launch of the ham sausage production line. Won Jun was also quite satisfied and signed the acceptance book immediately. Wu Wei got the acceptance signature and mentioned the issue of the final payment. Won Jun did not say anything and immediately arranged the process and asked Wu Wei to go to the finance department to collect the money in the afternoon. As a result, Wu Wei went to the finance department in the afternoon and met Section Chief Yu. But he only received 50,000 yuan. According to Section Chief Yu's explanation, the remaining 50,000 yuan was reserved by the factory as a quality guarantee deposit and would be paid out 3 months later. This statement is not new. Wu Wei had seen it many times in his previous life. Many quality guarantee deposits were delayed and then lost. This is a common thing. But there are different situations here. Some parties really did not intend to give it. Some of them want to take advantage of this delay to give you some room and opportunity to operate. Wu Wei wondered which one this was, and habitually walked to the new factory. But the shed here was dismantled in the morning, and the workers had already gone back. Only the fourth master, the master, and Ma Heidao were still waiting at the factory gate. Wu Wei came to his senses and hurried to the factory gate. After discussing with the fourth master and the master, they couldn't figure out Won Jun's intention for a while. After all, they were still polite before. Who would have thought that they would suddenly turn their faces and ignore people? Wu Wei counted out 10,000 yuan and handed it to the master and the fourth master, saying, "You go back and pay the last half of the month's wages first, and I'll ask around here." After sending the two away, Wu Wei turned around and called the factory flower's office through the phone of the security guard Xiao Gong. Not long after, Wang Jing came to the factory gate worriedly. Wu Wei didn't ask anything, and understood immediately. Now, the only way left for Wu Wei is to ask for his salary. Even so, Wang Jing still handed over the 20,000 treasury bonds she had collected during this period to Wu Wei. Wu Wei calculated. After the two factory beauties handed over to him, the unredeemed treasury bonds already amounted to 50,000. Even if he refused to redeem them, he would still lose money. Of course, Wu Wei was unwilling to do such a despicable thing. After all, one thing is one thing. Won Jun is Won Jun, and Wang Jing is Wang Jing. Wu Wei had just left the meat processing plant not long ago. Pale Jian came with Chen Yinglong on a bicycle. Pale Jian had just received the news of the completion and delivery of the meat processing plant in the morning, and he thought that he had to come and see it to feel at ease. After all, the welfare housing of the cement plant was also entrusted to Wu Wei. Won Jun took time out of his busy schedule to receive him in person. Because the two were old friends. After a tour, Pale Jian's heart was completely put back in his stomach. Old Wan, if the 3 welfare houses built by Boss Wu for us can also reach this level and standard, then I can rest assured. Later, I have to thank you for introducing me to this clue. Won Jun laughed. Old Pei, we are friends. Pale Jian also laughed. In addition to laughing, Pale Jian's topic could not help but focus on Wu Wei. Pulling Won Jun mysteriously, he said, "Old Wan, there is something you must not know." Won Jun said, "Tell me." Pale Jian said calmly, "Others think that Boss Wu is young and has no background. But I know that this kid is really hidden." Won Jun's heart moved, and he couldn't wait to ask, "Tell me, Old Pei, what is his background?" "It's just that we are old friends, I won't hide it from you." Pale Jian added another buff, and then said, "Old Wu the boss is very familiar with Mr. Zhong in our county." Mr. Zhong, Won Jun's body was shocked, and he confirmed in disbelief, the Mr. Zhone who just retired from our county. Palejian nodded firmly, yes. A while ago, we signed a contract with Boss Wu. Xiao Chen saw it with his own eyes when we had dinner at the guest house that night. Mr. Zhone also asked Boss Wu to do something for him. Hearing this, Wang Jun took a long breath. Mr. Pei, why didn't you tell me about this earlier? I just deducted 50,000 yuan from that guy's wages this morning. If Wu Wei loses his temper and goes directly to Mr. Zhone, this matter will be a big deal. But Palejian spread his hands without knowing the truth and said, it's not too late for me to tell you now, right? Wang Jun couldn't care less, so he patted Palejian and said, Old Pei, I have something urgent to do, so I won't see you out. Palejian also heard it, and said without arguing, then go and do your work, old Wan. We can go out by ourselves. Back in the office, Wang Jun immediately called Wang Jing and asked, didn't the boss call just now? Wang Jing shook her head blankly. Wang Jun secretly felt lucky that Wu Wei was still patient. In this way, you immediately notify the finance department to go through the procedures for the remaining 50,000 yuan balance of the factory project. Wang Jing was even more puzzled. Uncle, no, director, didn't you say that the factory's finances have entered the inventory period, temporarily? Before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Wang Jun and said, don't ask so many questions, hurry up and do it. Also, before letting Chief Yu do it, call Wu Wei first and notify him personally. Go. So, Wu Wei was at his master Chiao Wui's house, paying wages to the masters who came one after another. Lu Hong came hurriedly and said, Xiao Wu, Section Chief Yu from the meat processing plant is calling you. Wu Wei glanced at master and fourth master, and none of them could figure out what was going on. When Wu Wei came back after answering the phone, master and fourth master immediately took him out of the door and asked in a quiet place, what's the matter? Wang Jun can't be too bullying, right? Wu Wei took a deep breath and said, Section Chief you notified me to go there before get off work to settle the balance. Master and fourth master said in unison, what? Accompanied by an expression that you didn't hear it wrong. Wu Wei nodded, Master, fourth master, I didn't hear it wrong. I also asked Section Chief Yu specifically. Section Chief Yu's attitude is obviously different from that in the morning. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Who would marry into the family after being reborn? Author, Ben Pao de Ba Ling Ho. Chapter 129. The transformation was sudden. Let alone Wu Wei himself. Fourth Master Chiao and Master also couldn't figure out the situation. Fortunately, this is a change for the better, so just be happy for Wu Wei. After feeling happy, Fourth Master Chiao was the first to remember and urged, we have left this place to us. Go quickly and don't delay. Fifth Master Chiao agreed, by the way, take someone with you, and pay attention to safety on the road. So Wu Wei took his apprentice Ma Haidao out. Ma Haidao's car, which belonged to his father, Ma Jinbao, was built by him these days. Except the bell doesn't ring, it rings everywhere. When they arrived at the county town, the master and apprentice first went back to the Bai Road courtyard and got a gift. Now I don't know the situation at the meat factory, so I'll bring you a gift to be prepared. After all, it's not surprising that many people are polite. Then he rushed to the meat factory and it was almost time to get off work. Wu Wei pushed the cart through the door and clearly felt that even the attitude of the doorman Xiao Gong had changed. Still so enthusiastic though. But in this enthusiasm, there is obviously a sense of respect. Without thinking too much at the moment, Wu Wei left Ma Haidao with Xiao Gong. I went straight to the finance department single-handedly. Chief Yu of the finance department saw Wu Wei arriving. Feeling relieved, he even stood up from his seat to greet him. Hey, Chief Yu, sit down, sit down. Section Chief Yu still insisted on standing up and said, Boss Wu, I have been waiting for you for a long time. The process has been completed, and I am just waiting for you to sign and pay. Compared with the previous counting speed of 250,000 yuan, 50,000 yuan was quickly counted. Wu Wei took the money, left the finance department, and went straight to the factory director's office. No matter what Wang Jun was like before, now that the money has been given, his gratitude must be sent. Arrive at the factory director's office. I saw Wang Jun discussing the transportation issues of the ham sausage production line with Section Chief Song of the purchasing department. As soon as Wu Wei appeared, Wang Jun did not dare to neglect. He immediately stopped talking and welcomed Wu Wei in and said, Master Wu, look at you, you left too fast in the afternoon. You left first before Section Chief Yu finished paying the balance. Later I severely criticized her. I hope you won't have a bad impression of our meat factory because of this small problem. Obviously the set of official words was brought out. Wu Wei didn't want to know the exact reason from Wang Jun. Turning around to look at Section Chief Song, this guy still had the smiling face of Maitreya Buddha. There are no clues either. Wu Wei could only say thank you, and wanted to put down the small gift and prepare to leave. As a result, no small gift was given. When I left, the meat factory was getting off work. As soon as I arrived at the factory gate, I was blocked by two factory flowers. Wang Jing and Yu Lily, not to be outdone, seemed to want to talk to Wu Wei. But at the entrance of this factory, it is not convenient for people to come and go. Wu Wei simply went against the grain and went back to the factory to find a secluded place. You two young ladies, you are not here to steal money, are you? I'm a country boy, I don't have money, so you guys can do it together. It was a joke, and it made two people laugh. The tense atmosphere before suddenly disappeared. Wang Jing came closer to him, poked his waist with her finger and said, Okay, Boss Wu, keep it secret. Even though she is so familiar with Mr. Zhong, she never makes it public. Wu Wei's heart moved and he understood instantly. He just smiled and asked curiously, No, how did you know? Yu Lily intervened forcefully, Director Pei came to visit our factory today and told us what Director Wan said. Wang Jing glanced at Yu Lily in displeasure, then directly pressed her head against Wu Wei and said, If you had said this earlier, you wouldn't have made so many trips. Wu Wei didn't say much, he just kept saying, Blame me, blame me. Yu Lily took a step forward again and said, Boss Wu, can I treat you to a movie? Wu Wei quickly waved his hand and warned, in the movie theater, there are people hugging each other and biting each other in the dark. You must not go. Yu Lily's words came to her lips, but she held them back. After all, she couldn't say I'm happy in front of Wang Jing. Wang Jing didn't take it seriously and followed Wu Wei's words, what's the point of watching a movie? It would be great to go to the park tomorrow and Sunday. Right, Boss Wu. Wu Wei couldn't help but shake his head. In fact, walking in the park was not much better. But he didn't point it out, he just said, You guys have a rest tomorrow, but I can't. Wang Jing asked, after paying so much money today, can't you take a break tomorrow? You are too motivated. Wu Wei pretended to be stupid and said, There is no way, rural people are like this. While you can still move a year ago, you have to run around more, so that you can have a good year. Speaking of having a good year, Yu Lily said naturally, the winter solstice is coming soon, and the Chinese New Year will be coming soon. If you want to buy some New Year's goods, you can come to me. Wang Jing suddenly lost the opportunity and could only glare at Yu Lily fiercely. Wu Wei nodded. In fact, to buy New Year's goods in rural areas, they all rely on the villagers to kill New Year pigs. I rarely come to the meat factory to purchase food. But be prepared and act first. It's getting late, you two should go back early, so as not to worry your family. Wu Wei pulled out from between the two of them, took Ma Heidao with him, and fled without stopping. Thanks to knowing Mr. Zhong, this matter only broke out today. Otherwise, it would be really difficult for him to deal with the attack of these little factory flowers. Back to the courtyard of Beihai Road, it was Saturday today. Zishun had already returned. But Xiaochun was still in the village. It was the final time for the furniture to be assembled. These days, she, Ma Ling and Li Xiaoqin had already moved to the village office to work. Wu Wei put the money at home and told Zishun to take care of the house. Then he followed Ma Heidao back to the village. One was to tell the master and the fourth master, and the other was to take Xiaochun back to the county. On the way back, Ma Heidao's car was pedaling loudly. Wu Wei couldn't ignore it. "Heidao, what does your father do at home?" "Just busy with the things in the fields. When the kiln reopens, ask him to go to the kiln to do some work when he has time, so he can earn a little." Although Ma Heidao is a simple man, he can distinguish between good and bad. Not only did the master recognize him as his apprentice, but he also asked his sister to take his sister to work. Now he has arranged it for his father again. "Master, I kowtow to you." Ma Heidao stopped the car and was about to kowtow on the road. Wu Wei was caught off guard and rushed out for a long distance before he stopped. When he turned around and ran back, this big fool really knelt down. Luckily, before he kowtowed, Wu Wei grabbed him and said, "What's the point? Don't you want to marry a city wife? Work hard with me, and this won't be a problem." Hearing about marrying a city wife, Ma Heidao's eyes immediately lit up. "Really, master?" In his previous life, this eldest disciple was influenced by himself and married a fierce woman from the countryside, and he also lived a cowardly life for half his life. Wu Wei was determined not to let him repeat the same mistake. Who would marry into the family after being reborn? Author, Ben Pao de Ba Ling Ho. Chapter 130. The master and his apprentice returned to Daowen village. Xiaochun was still with Ma Ling and Li Xiaoqin, busying themselves in the village office. Wu Wei got off the car just after seeing Qiao Ziyi lingering here. He handed over a cigarette and saw Xiang Hui waiting next to him. It seemed that even if he didn't come back tonight, it would not be a problem for Xiaochun to go back to the county. Wu Wei raised his hand and threw a cigarette to Xiang Hui. Then he heard Qiao Ziyi say, "The wages have been paid, and there are still 2,000 yuan left." Wu Wei said casually, "Then leave it with the master." The implication was that he didn't plan to go there again, so as not to ask for money. Qiao Ziyi knew what he meant, and still mentioned, "Yuyan just got home, can you go over to see her?" This, he really couldn't help but go. So Wu Wei said hello to Xiang Hui after smoking half of a cigarette, sent Ma Heidao away, and turned to go to the master's house. Fortunately, Wu Wei went there. Master, his wife, and Yuyan were waiting for him to come over for dinner. Wu Wei wanted to refuse, but he swallowed the words back. First of all, Qiao Quiliang had been away for so long, and Yuyan only came back once a week. The old couple had no one to accompany them, which was pitiful. Second, if Xiaochun was used as an excuse, master and his wife would only call Xiaochun over as well. Wu Wei washed his face with Yuyan's towel and sat down with master. Master Wu was particularly happy. Has the balance really been settled? Wu Wei nodded. Master Qiao Wu took the opportunity to suggest, how about we have 2 cups? Feeling the sincere joy of the master, Wu Wei could not bear to spoil the fun, so he nodded and said, "Okay, I will listen to the master." But Qiao Yuyan did not quite understand, why do we have to drink again? How much is the final payment? Is it worth celebrating like this? Master Qiao Wu directly spread out his 5 fingers and said, 50,000 yuan, is it not enough? Qiao Yuyan's mouth opened slightly when she heard it. Wow, it's enough for her lifetime salary. Chen Yuejuan obviously knew about this, so she agreed, let them drink a little. It's not easy to complete a project, and the project payment is not less. In addition to being shocked, Xiao Yuyan was naturally happy for Wu Wei. Hurry to get the wine from the cabinet, but there was only a bottle of Maotai left, which was full of about 2 taels. Here, that's all. Wu Wei touched it and said, it's really not much, master, let's have a drink together, and I'll buy you some tomorrow. Master Qiao Wu was also quite pleased. Why do you need to buy? I just got paid. Chen Yuejuan asked her daughter, don't you have another bottle in your room? No. As soon as the voice fell, Qiao Yuyan refused like a protective child, saying, I'll keep that bottle for use. So the master and apprentice could only drink the mutai to the bottom. Eat casually. After eating and drinking, Master Qiao Wu handed the remaining 2,000 yuan to Wu Wei and said, the rest is here. Wu Wei didn't reach out to take it, saying, put it here, master. Master Qiao Wu still stuffed it into him, one thing at a time, don't get it mixed up. The master and apprentice pushed and shoved. It was pushed all the way to the door, and Wu Wei had to take it. Then Master Qiao Wu asked, have you figured out why Wan Jun suddenly changed his mind? Wu Wei handed over a cigarette and lit it for his master before saying, it was said that Director Pei came over this afternoon and said something to help me, so Director Wan changed his mind. Master Qiao Wu was even more curious, this is 50,000 yuan. What can a deputy director of a cement factory say to influence the decision of the director of the meat processing factory? Wu Wei exhaled a puff of smoke and said, Director Pei said I know Mr. Zhong. This was heard by Lu Hong, who happened to come over and eat melon seeds. Xiao Wu, do you know Mr. Zhong? Our county's old secretary Zhong Xian. Wu Wei nodded. Master Qiao Wu suddenly realized and looked relieved. In comparison, Lu Hong suddenly felt that the melon seeds today were a little sour. After standing for a while, he went home angrily and said, Moly, this dead girl, eats and waits for death all day long, and has no ambition. While talking, Qiao Yuyan also finished washing the pots and pans. Wu Wei subconsciously reached out to help her cover them. As a result, he found that his hands were warm today. Qiao Yuyan said mischievously, I washed them with hot water today. As you said, I have to protect them well. At this point, Qiao Yuyan's pretty face flushed. Obviously she remembered the important role played by these hands last time. Fortunately, it was dark, and Xiao Wei next to him could not see clearly. At this time, Xiang Hui ran over. He greeted Wu Wei and Yuyan first, and then said to Wu Wei, Brother, Xiaochun is done, you can go. In the yard behind him, Chen Yuejuan had just finished feeding Dehei. Hearing the sound, he came out and said, so Xiaochun is here too. You didn't tell me before. If you had told me earlier, you could have asked Xiaochun to come over for dinner. This was obviously directed at Wu Wei. Wu Wei smiled and said, no need, master's wife. Zishun has already prepared dinner at home. When he heard that Zishun was alone at home, Master Qiao Wu hurriedly urged, then you should go back quickly. She is a little girl at home, she feels lonely. On the way back, Xiaochun had a car but didn't ride it. She sat behind Xiang Hui's car, parallel to the car of the second brother Wu Wei. Wu Wei told Xiaochun what happened today in front of Xiang Hui. This was the trust of the second brother in Xiang Hui. Xiaochun did not forget to remind him, don't talk nonsense when you go back, or you will cause trouble for my second brother. Xiang Hui obeyed and said, of course, I am very tight-lipped, you know. But my second brother makes so much money and is so low-key, I really admire him. Xiaochun turned and asked, second brother, the day after tomorrow is the winter solstice. Do you have to send gifts to the fifth master? After all, there are 4 festivals and 8 qi, and the winter solstice is indeed a big festival. As a result, when Xiang Hui heard it, he felt that Xiaochun was pointing at him, and asked first, "Then do I have to send gifts too?" "What does it have to do with you?" Xiaochun interrupted, "Now it's my second brother's business." Wu Wei thought that the master's wine was finished and he needed to restock. So he nodded and said, "I have to give it to him. Even if it's not for Yuyan, I should show my respect to him for the sake of our master-disciple relationship." Xiaochun whispered, "These two reasons are different. You'd better think clearly which one to use. The gift for the future father-in-law must be more generous than the gift for the master. But as a master, this is also the first time Wu Wei has given a gift this year. In theory, there is nothing wrong with a generous gift. After all, the more the better. Moreover, this kind of more the better was a burden for him in the past. But for him now, it's just a drop in the bucket. At most, 200 yuan is the most. The key is that the intention is in place." When they arrived at the intersection of Jingui Township, Xiaochun changed from Xiang Hui's car to her second brother's car. He waved to Xiang Hui and said, "Don't think about giving gifts when you go back. It's none of your business."